You're listening to the Jan Price Show, all about movies. And today, my guest is award-winning director James Bamford. And we're going to be talking about his brand new movie, which is very exciting, Air Force One Down. Welcome to the show, James.
Hi, Jan. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. So I'm always curious, how did this particular movie come to you? How did you decide that this is one that you wanted to direct?
Um, Sort of in a roundabout way. I was prepping a series, I believe, to be shot in Canada, and the production company and I had a couple meetings, and I was unavailable over the year leading up to this film, and we had decided that we wanted to work together. And the show that I was prepping kept getting pushed. Um, it was a virtual LED screen volume based series, so there was a lot of prep involved in designing um, virtual environments and whatnot for the background of the series. And so it kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed. And it just so happened I got a phone call from the company and the producers, Stephen Paul and Scott Carroll, right about the time I got informed of the last push. And they said, we're thinking about doing this and around this time. And I said, oh, well, I just became available. And they presented Air Force One Down, or the concept of it, to me. And of course, I said, that sounds fantastic. Let's do it. And here we are.
There you are. Serendipity. Perfect time.
Hmm.
For sure.
Yeah,
So our listeners know what Air Force One Down is about. Why don't you give a synopsis of what this film's about?
sure. It centers around a Secret Service agent, Allison Miles, and basically her first maiden voyage aboard Air Force One, protecting the president on the president of the United States security detail. She comes from a military background, and her uncle just happens to be named Uncle Sam, played by Anthony Michael Hall. Um, has an opening in the Secret Service, of which he's a high-ranking supervisor, and he invites her to come work with him. And there is a someone calls in sick um, one fine day, and there's an opening aboard Air Force One, and so she's invited to come cover the president personally. Um, and of course, there's some baddies who have infiltrated the security system on the plane from a made up Eastern European country that we invented called Estovia. I think we have a Wikipedia page for it as well. And and of course, all hell breaks loose aboard the plane as they take control, and um, lots of the other Secret Service agents are killed, leaving um, Allison Miles with her little old lonesome, protecting the president on her own, including her uncle Sam is murdered as well. So she fights her way through the plane and gets a hold of the president, and they parachute off the plane and land in Estovia because they just so happen to be flying over Estovia at the time. And of course they get captured there as well, and then she has to fight her way out of the prison of General Rodanoff, played by Rade, the great Rade, who is General Rodanoff, and basically rescue the president out of his clutches and get him back safely to the United States, in a nutshell.
in a
Uh,
nutshell. And Allison is played by Katherine McNamara.
yes.
Now, there is a lot of action in this film, and you started your career as a stuntman, so obviously that probably helped you because there are a lot of stunts in this movie. Did you does Catherine have a background in doing these kinds of stunts, or what's her background? Because she's pretty badass in this film.
Hmm. Well, she did a lot of training. Um, Catherine and I, or Kat, have worked together previously on a television series called Arrow, of which I was the producing director. So we have a lot of experience working with each other, and I know what she's capable of physically, which was also, close quarters combat, um, and handling weapons. So when we got Kat aboard the cast, I knew, what I was in for and what she was capable of. And I had her training in Los Angeles before she came to fly out to Bulgaria, which is where we filmed the film. Um, and she was at Terran Tactical, at the gun range, shooting on a regular basis. She was doing stick, knife, Filipino martial arts training, and she was boxing and doing footwork and all sorts of things in LA to as a refresher that I asked her to jump onto before she came out to Bulgaria. And then once she got to Bulgaria, I had her training with the stunt team here, with the choreography that you see on the screen. And then we started shooting. And what you see predominantly 95% of the stunts are her,
Wow. Wow.
um,
Pretty
except when you see her get hit by a car, um, which we would never do that to to an actor. But she does get sort of spit off the hood of the car, and the car hit and lands on the ground and rolls into the lens, which is, no easy feat itself. So she's very
hmm
committed, and I have to talk her out of doing some stunts quite often because she's very brave and wants to do absolutely everything. So
Well, she does some amazing stunts in this film, I have to tell you. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do as many things that she does at one time. It's pretty impressive.
she
Pretty
worked very
impressive.
hard. She worked
Yeah,
very hard.
yeah, and it shows. It
Uh,
shows on the screen.
um,
It definitely does. So did you I know you were the director, but did you get involved in coordinating the stunts in this film, or did you have someone else who handled the stunts?
there was directing a film is just too multifaceted. So, although that's my original background and forte, I wear too many hats as the director. So we had a stunt coordinator and a fight choreographer from the Ukraine, actually, here in Bulgaria. And so when I work with a stunt team, whether it be the guys I worked with for years or a new one, I'm very specific in what I ask for. And even though our communication was difficult because of language barriers and whatnot here, uh, when you're dealing with stunts, it's physical and visual as well. So I don't want to say micromanage, but because I don't like to do that. I like the creatives who were hired to be able to create and collaborate. But I tend to get into the fight and, well, I want this and, this wrist lock and, this hip toss. And I ask for specifics in specific places in the choreography. And then if I don't like something, I'll usually step in and, demonstrate something that I'm going for,
Mhm.
so that they understand, especially when there's, as I said, a language barrier, which we had on this film.
I can imagine. Yeah, interesting.
Mhm.
Did Catherine get hurt in any of those scenes doing them? I know you tried to protect your actors, but and, I know, and you do hear about people, getting hurt on the set, no matter how much they are trying to be protected.
Of course, of
Tom
course.
Cruise, who likes to do a lot of his stunts, his
Oh yeah, no, he had his
broken
ankle
bones
broken.
and ankle,
Um,
yeah.
of
So,
course. Yeah, no, she of course when you're making physical contact and blocking somebody's punching, and she's not a large person and she's making contact with some very large men who weigh 200 plus pounds.
mhm.
Um, so she's making bone on bone contact with their forearms when she's blocking their kicks. So yeah, her forearms were covered in bruises, but no breaks or anything like that.
That's
She was
great.
very well protected, and bruises are, little bumps and bruises are sort of par for the
Right.
course. I always say, expect pain, just not injury. So.
Okay. So there were a lot of Epsom salt baths at the end of
I'm
shooting.
sure.
I'm
I
sure.
wasn't there for that, but I'm sure there was in her room.
Yeah, I would hope so. Anyhow. Well, let's talk about, I mean, it's pretty amazing what she does in this film. I will say that. And there is a lot of, and the film is action packed. So you actually have a lot in this film for just about every person who loves action films to go to. It appeals to a younger audience, an older audience. It's got the female audience, obviously. So you've got a lot in this that has a lot of appeal to just about everybody who loves action movies. And this is certainly action packed. But let's talk about Ian Bohen because he also, listen, if we had a president who looked like him, I think we haven't had one since John F. Kennedy. So, but he also gets involved in, a lot of action in this film. So was he someone that you had worked with before also, James?
No, no, we had mutual friends. In fact, Kat had met him previously, and also I have directed an episode of Superman and Lois where Tyler, the lead who plays Superman, is a very, very good friend of Ian's as well. Probably best friends, I would imagine. And sort of in that DC Comics, Warner Brothers community that I worked for 10 or so years. It's a very small community. Everyone knows everyone, and Ian worked in and out of there as well. So we didn't work together directly previously, but we know a lot of people who know us, I
So
would say. And he was also very keen to do his own stunts, which he did. You can see in the film
yes.
as well. Um, yeah, I don't think we stunt doubled him at all in the film.
Okay. Interesting.
Did I
Interesting.
freeze on you?
Yeah, you did freeze a little bit. Yeah, you did. There. So you didn't use it as stunt double, you said, on for him too much or very little.
At all, I
At
don't
all.
believe.
Okay, at
No.
all. That's when you froze up, so I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing in itself too, because there's a lot of action that he puts in. Again, if we had a president like that, that's an able-bodied who could, give some punches and do all of those things, I think that would be rather exciting for this country. Who knows? We may need that the way things are going sometimes. So,
Hmm.
what was I mean, obviously the action scenes are always difficult to shoot, but besides that, what was the most difficult part of shooting this? Although you did say there was a language barrier, I'm sure that was difficult, but was there something else that stood out that was really difficult for you when you were shooting this?
Yeah, well, the majority of our crew were Bulgarian and Greek, and as I mentioned, some Ukrainian, but they spoke English, so there wasn't a communication issue that way. They're all so very experienced and incredibly talented,
Mhm.
but I would say time, as I'm sure you've heard this many times.
Right, right.
just time was our enemy, and I think we shot it in, I think it was, I can't remember how many days, because it was a year ago, this month, or I believe, because we were shooting right where I am now, at the same studio,
Wow.
uh, a year ago with a lot of the same crew, and that was our first film together with SP Media and Paramount, um, that we shot. And right now I'm sitting here, we're just prepping the sixth since last January, the sixth film. So,
Oh, wow.
um, but yeah, so
Yeah, so
imagine,
it's kind of a blur, I would think.
yes,
How many days did
where
it take you to shoot this one?
where am I?
Yeah, where are you?
Yeah, it was. So again, the biggest challenge was time,
Yeah.
and having done a lot of television episodes and superhero TV, I'm used to getting, as big of scope as possible on a tight schedule. So, and we had a very tight schedule. Luckily, people like Kat and Ian, who come incredibly prepared, get us through it. So
Mhm.
they're always ready. As soon as they're just waiting for you to say action, and there's never a stumble or a stutter. Um, just they know their lines, they know the choreography, they know where to walk, they know where to run, they know all the tricks, and performances are on point at all times, and very consistent and solid, and real, and true to form at all times. So um, again, time was the biggest challenge, but at the same time I'm used to that, so it's par for the course.
Right. Do you remember how many days it took for you to shoot this, approximately?
I I can't, because there's been so many films in the last year now, and they've all been sort of a different schedule. I
Hmm.
think it was something like 18 days.
It was kind of an
Um,
action film. Wow. That's,
yeah, so the key is to be incredibly prepared and
Mhm.
ready, and cross your T's and dot your I's, and hold your breath, and go
Yeah.
for it.
How long for the post-production? Because I'm sure a lot of this was done in post-production.
Well, the editor has he's assembling as we're shooting. So as we're filming, the dailies are coming out, and the footage is passed over to the editor, and he's starting to do a rough assembly. And then I had moved on to the next film when the film was handed to me to do my cut. So I think I got under 2 weeks to do my edit of the film, and then of course the producers get their cut. So it goes on for a while. There's a visual effects pass, then there's a color timing or color grading pass, and then there's a sound mix, and then there's another sort of once over that everyone does for quality control, then another one. So it lasts several months,
Hmm. Hmm.
in post, and music, of course, and
Right.
and everything else. So
Oh, the music
um,
keeps you going. I'm glad you brought up the music because the music is perfect for this film. It just
great.
adds so much to the dynamics of the movie in itself. So yeah, very, very, very good. So all of these films that you're doing right now, you said you did six, is that what you said in a year?
This is the sixth one. I guess it would be. I did five in 2023, starting number six, and I think I did one the year before that, a film in amongst the other TV episodes I was doing. So maybe seven in films in the last 2, 3 years, I guess.
Wow.
And they're all these ones we've done over here, um, have all been different genres. So they're all completely different visually and tonally. So it's kept me going creatively.
Oh, that's great. So, do you even know what day it is today? What time it is with
It's
that kind of a schedule?
Wednesday, um,
That crazy
and
schedule
it's
that you've
uh,
got.
and it's almost 10 p.m. here.
There you go. So are you working with the same team and all of that? Are you working with Stephen Paul and that same
Yeah.
team and
Yep.
Scott Carroll, the producer?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Stephen Paul, Scott Carroll, and on set here with me producing is Kyle Otto, who's been with me on well, the same team's been on all the films. So sort of ride or die
right.
situation, and it's great. We all know each other, and what each other likes and doesn't like, and what to expect, and we have a great shorthand
I was just gonna
going.
say, yeah, probably have a
Yeah,
great
we're
short
working
answer.
at out of New Bojana Studios here in Bulgaria, and the CEO is Yuriv Lerner, and he's been a fantastic host and just gives us his all. And well, what do you need? A techno crane? You need it, and the team here is exceptional and world class. So I've
That's
done a lot of shooting in Vancouver, which BC, which is where I'm from. Um, and the crews there, I've always said, are second to none in the world. But I love traveling, and love working with new people, and there's great people all over the world,
exactly.
and
Yeah,
we're right next to Greece. So come June, you can zip over to Santorini and hang out for a couple of weeks in between films, and
that's
uh,
nice.
yeah, it's
Very nice.
It's a nice perk since it's a half
Yeah,
an hour plane ride from here.
very
But
nice. Are you working with the same actors on any of these? Is Catherine in any of these, or Ian, or anyone that?
I can't say
Okay.
right now.
Okay.
Some of the other films, let me see if they've been. I can't really. I'm not. I don't think I can say yet. But
Okay.
other than yes.
Okay.
I get not specifically to Kat or Ian, but I have been working with on some of the films, some of the same actors, some of the same team together, and it's been cool. It's kind of felt like a Tarantino film at times with the
Ah,
same sort of cool cast of characters in, and trying to assemble have a little motif going, even though we're going from genre to genre. And I think we've done, that was a sort of a retro 80s action, 80s, 90s action film. And then we went on to a psychological thriller after that. Then we went to a revenge horror film, and then we went to a fantasy um, reincarnation action film, and then we went to I, I'm not sure what to call it other than Westworld meets Taken, and then right now a very grounded modern day Western, I would say,
wow.
akin to old No Country for Old Men.
Ooh,
So
wow.
yeah.
Wow,
Um,
exciting. Well, I guess I'll have to have you back on the show many times now. You might just be the only guest I have.
I would love to. I mean, as Stephen jokes quite often, he said, "Well, we're going to go to New York and have a James Bamford Film Festival,"
I think
uh,
so,
uh,
for sure.
which would be fun.
Yeah, it would be fun. Well, there's more to talk about, but this movie can be seen now. It's in the theaters now, and it's also available to buy on digital. Is it going to be on a streaming service? Can we talk about that? Is it coming up on?
I believe so. I think it is now, is it? Is it not? I think it's on Paramount Plus.
That's what I was going to say. I wanted to be sure because it's a Paramount film, and I wanted to be sure before we said that. Okay, so it's on Paramount Plus, which is great. So everybody seek out if you like wonderful action films and you'd like to see a woman kick ass, uh, as Katherine McNamara does in this film, and a hot, sexy president. and great action. I recommend seeing Air Force One Down. It's great. Thank you for being on the show, James. I appreciate you being here. And I know you're so busy, and I appreciate you taking the time. And I look forward to having you back on the show again.
Thanks for having me. I had fun.
Good. I'm glad. That's what it's all about. Have a great
Yeah,
evening.
for sure.
Take
Yeah,
care.
you too. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah.